Hallo zusammen, wir starten in 2 Minuten. Hey guys, good evening. My name is Sven Wegner. I'm the founder of Scaling Agile Global, and together with Marco and Peter, we run the Scaling Agile Global community. We are a community which started 2 years ago in Germany, became very popular, and now we have around 16 groups in 14 different countries. And we got the meetup badges officially from Safe, Less, and Scrum at Scale. If you are a social media type, please do use our hashtag. And I'd like to really thank our sponsors today, HighPace, Accelere, and WeWork for providing the venue.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, please. Welcome everyone. My name is Elizabeth and I'm part of the community team here at WeWork, Neutonstraße, Munich. And on behalf of our team, I would like to welcome you from my heart to our space here today, to our community. We work super close together with Meetup for a couple of years. Meetup is part of WeWork, and it's an essential part because WeWork is a global workspace provider, as maybe some of you know, some might not. And one of the very key forms what WeWork does is that we offer events in our community spaces to give a benefit to the community that is actually renting workspaces here, to connect everyone with each other and to provide very useful information and share knowledge with each other. So on behalf of the team, welcome everyone, and I'm really excited about this event tonight. I think it's a super interesting topic, and if anyone has any questions or would like to know a bit more about WeWork, I will be here the whole evening and more than welcome to chat to everyone. So thanks.
Yeah, and I'd like to invite our star of the day, Marcus Brandl.
So hello everyone, thank you that you found the time and let's say also the possibility to join tonight or in the evening. I think we have a really interesting topic today, so I'm going to talk about, let's say, or give an overview about the big scaling Agile frameworks out there. I think everyone who's here has, let's say, several questions in his mind or expectations. I maybe have to disappoint you because you probably won't get out and have the answer you're searching for. So let's say the journey still continues, but at least I would like to give you, let's say, some insights into the world of scaling Agile. Yeah, and so I think let's start. We had some issues with our technical setup. All right. So that's basically me. So my name is Marcus Brandl. I'm co-founder of the HighPace GmbH. So we're sorry.
Can we get the presentation afterwards, maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to share it because I think that's always an issue here in Meetup to see all these interesting topics, but you would like to have them, of course. So we're going to share the presentation afterwards.
How can we do that?
Our scaling Agile global team is going to take care of
We will share it with you guys through the platform.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what I'm doing basically, founded a small, almost 7 years ago, small startup company. We're focusing on e-commerce development and Agile software development. So let's say my branch is more like the Agile area because I figured out that the main problems with our customers, they weren't technical problems, it were, let's say, organizational problems. So, Yeah, that looks pretty fancy, but I just did it, let's say, because I really want to understand what's going on there. So it was enough for me to say, okay, let's have a look at safety, of course, that's the answer for everything. I know, but let's just, I don't know, it's more stricter, more rough and better marketing, stronger scales. Also, they really had the need, let's say, like 1 year ago to understand what's going on in the area of scaling Agile, because it's such an interesting topic. That is also what I would like to share today with you. So, yeah, also work for plenty of companies. So these are the one I can name. I also work for other big companies. All right. So we'll just take you back in time a bit. So probably like, I would say 12 years ago, this was me actually. So came from the area of software development. So I'm basically a Java developer. Worked in a team with other, let's say, very motivated individuals and really thought we can change the world. And it was like, okay, we were working as a team so great, we were high performing. And I thought, hey, already this time this might scale. So why does other departments also use agility actually? So we try to spread that knowledge, we try to, let's say, work together with management. But what we face is actually hard resistance and hard pushback. So it was always like management said, okay, we're doing a project plan. And if we plan that, then things are going to happen. And we were like, hey, come on, you can trust us. We anyhow deliver what you require, but let's work together. But at this time, let's say 12 years ago, it wasn't somehow possible. We asked ourselves, actually asked myself, why is, let's say, agility limited to development teams if it works so well? Yeah, and why we're not working together towards the same goals. So basically we're working all the time against each other. Even if we were in the same company, we share the same interests, but somehow this is a common setup, and I think an issue everybody's struggling around here. As I said, this like 12 years ago already in my head. But what happens actually, so I left the company because I thought, we just have to change the environment, it's getting better. I had another environment, I came in a great team, but let's say, having the first touch point with management, I'm facing exactly the same issues. Resistance, pushback, however, and I thought this can't be true. I mean, every company has to be here because we're having the same common goals. And over the years, I'm very glad actually that I had the chance also, let's say, as a consultant to get insights into the different area of an organization. So let's say my roots were like the development area, but through the years I understood what are the challenges in the management area? What are the challenges in the product owner area? What are the challenges in the Scrum Master area? What are the challenges in portfolio management? What are the challenges on executive level? And that was basically what brought all together. And suddenly I understood, after this long time, where actually, sorry, I'm not used to have a microphone. That was actually where I thought, okay, now somehow a big picture comes out of all of this sort of small pieces. And I understood that the problem is not the people working for the company, but the problem is the system as itself. So I thought, okay, there has to be a change in the system and not with the people, because the people are already doing their best, they're giving their best, but let's say they're frustrated because of political boundaries. So I started a search, let's say, I would say like 1.5 years ago, so I wanted to know, okay, if agility is working on that, how does it work actually the big one? And I was Googling and searching, okay, and of course the first thing I came up with was safe. So yeah, sounds good. So, as I said, there is something out. From my point of view, I mean, that's, let's say, my subjective point of view, I see the root cause, or most of the root causes, in the disconnect between strategy and execution. So somehow the companies, they, let's say, divide between strategy and execution. Somehow management or executives or C-level, whatever, they used to plan their budgets up front. They used to have fancy roadmaps with fancy milestones and, I don't know, a traffic light, and if it's red, then everything's going well, but that's not connected to the real world. From my point of view, that's wishful thinking. That's the reason where there is so much waste and so much energy, and that's frustrating people. So what I nowadays try to foster is actually business agility. So to reach a real agility in your organization. And what does this mean is actually to connect strategy and execution, to bring them together, to make them understand they're working on the same goals. The goals are not different. To make them understand it's not enough, let's say, to add 5 more managers into your strategy area, or to put 50 more developers in the execution area, if you're following totally different targets. That has to fit. Please, strategy department, go and share your vision to the teams who do the work, and please teams make transparent what you're working on. It's a really simple approach, but I think that helps, and it's a very easy mindset. So, I talked a lot about me. I would like to know who's here actually. So, do we have any developers? Can you raise your hand? Great. I think you know the pain. Constantly changing directions. You don't know why. I mean, that's part of agility, of course, but not, let's say, 5 times a day. You have any Scrum Masters here? Very good. I think also a very, very important role within the whole system, who also can, let's say, foster new mindsets, who can start a change, motivate the people, let's say, give them new ideas, or share new ideas. Do you have any product owners here? Oh, the bad guys. Yeah, they're always working against the teams against them. Yeah, it's a joke. Need management, plain management. Also, so that's the reason why you're hiding in the back. You're afraid of the team. No, just kidding. I think there's also very, very interesting insights how you can bring management into, let's say, a scale system. And maybe also some C-level here. You don't have to raise your hand. Yeah. Good. Yeah. When it comes to change, personally, I see here the most need to change that. So, the next thing would be, why are you actually here? What are you expecting to get here? Would like to understand so that we maybe can do a focus shift or really see. So this meetup is not for me, it's for you. I would like to share my knowledge. So, is anyone an whole Agile organization? No? Maybe it's just here to audit my talk. Yeah, I know this guy here. Yeah, but that's good basically. It's really important, and we're now talking about a really complex topic. We're trying to bring the big 4 frameworks together, and I have to say, I mean, I spent a lot of time getting information, but let's say not almost complete. So if you have any feedback, any input where you say, hey Marcus, that might not be wrong, right, just put it in and we make it right. So it's never my intent to give you wrong information. It's just because maybe I don't have them at this point of time. Anyone here to look for new ways how to improve an organization? No? Who wants a free snack? Yeah, maybe these are the most relaxed people and they will keep everything up. Okay, so what do you get actually? It's really important for me because I've also seen, like, when I came into this topic, I spent a lot of, from my point of view, useless discussion about which framework is better. I think that is the total wrong starting point. There is no better framework. You have to understand what kind of problems you would like to solve, and then you're looking for the proper tool. I mean, it's like saying, okay, I'm going to pick a screwdriver, but I want to change my tire. Yeah, it's probably not the appropriate tool for doing this. Yeah, you can, but it might take some time. Or will it fail, or you will destroy the tire. Yeah, so this is about objective information to the big 4 scaling frameworks. You won't hear any bashing from me, because I don't care, it's for me just a waste of time. Or marketing. I don't get any money for doing this, just spending money for giving you this information, a fortune of money to the big 4 companies to get those information. So basically you get the best of, let's say, these 4 trainings. Yeah, we will have some practical exercises. So due to some GDPR compliance, not everybody is allowed to stand in front of the camera or so. But I would like to ask you, these are really interesting exercises. Just if we have some volunteers, just raise your hand, and I will bring you the material we have. We're going to do a short estimation, Just do that, and I will bring the information and front to the presentation. Yes, questions always welcome. After the presentation, after I left. Just always ask. Yeah. And now we start. With anyone who's experienced or using Safe Action. Ooh. Not bad. This is good. That was basically my starting point. So that was my first contact into the world of, let's say, scale agility. I was really impressed because at this point of time I was looking for concrete solutions. I wasn't searching for, let's say, concepts about how to do this. I was really looking for a first instance of help where I can start. So what we do now, we go through the big 4 frameworks, and I will try, for safe guys it might be a bit boring, but even if you say, hey, I missed something, I try to, let's say, compensate the most important information. I try to highlight the most important things out of the framework, and then we're going to proceed to the next one. And at the end of each framework, there's a short exercise where I thought this would be a really interesting thing to point out and to experience what it means to, for example, use a business estimate in the context of safe. Yes, there we have it. The nightmare of all Agile fellows. The big safe picture. To be honest, I was also shocked. I didn't actually notice that you can click on all that stuff. Just thought it's a static picture. But I think if you're able, and also if you're open-minded, and you sit down and give you some time and try to understand the big picture, that is a really valuable thing. Because from my point of view, our colleague actually said for him safe, it's actually more than a framework, it's more like a library. And that is actually what I also consider safe. So, of course, there is, let's say, a very complex and concrete organization structure, but you don't have to use anything from my point of view. So there's also something I'm always going to mention. Pick out the things you need. This is just an idea, and these are very strict ideas. And these ideas have to be strict because they have to differentiate from each other. But if it's going to work for your context, why not pick out just a single part? So, for the people who are not experienced with SAFe or, let's say, are shocked by this, I would just like to go through the different areas. I think that is the first understanding. So personally, I'm also giving SAFe trainings, and that is always the starting point where we say, okay, it's really crucial to understand how does this connect together. So maybe we start on the team level. So I think everybody here in this room is aware of a simple Scrum team, which is, let's say, usually set up as a cross-functional team. We have a default Scrum cycle with the plan, executive, review, rate, so everything is really plain Scrum here. We have a backlog, 2 backlogs actually. Here are the non-functional requirements, and we have the sprint level. So if you just look at this area, nothing special. When it comes now, let's say to the scale area, things are going a bit different. So what you can see here, you can see the big borders around this. So we have a 2-week increment within a team level. We have a, let's say, ideal 10-week increment around multiple team levels. So that is the first idea of scaling. Set up a big program increment around multiple teams with multiple sprints. What you also can see, so we have a concept of stories and enablers. I really like that at SAFe because it's making technical depth visible. I'm going to mention it when we come to the runway. And we got at the end of such an iteration, the iteration, which is the innovation planning. But let's go maybe to the next level. So if you have any questions, just raise your hand, we're going to answer them right away. So we don't hesitate. So I think that level is pretty clear. So maybe let's look on the program level. So what we have here actually. So that would be, let's say, first level of scaling. So as you can see, we have the roles of Scrum Master, Dev Team, Product Owner, you have Product Management, System Architect, Engineer, and the Release Train Engineer. So basically these are the same roles, just in a scale context. So the RTE, let's say the Scrum Master of this area. The Product Management is representative of the Product Owner area at this level. And the System Architect Engineers are, let's say, the team representatives on this level. And of course, you have the Business Owner, which are the program stakeholders, so they know what to do, or actually what they would like to have. You have the same principle here. You have a program backlog and you have a program Kanban where you can scroll through. And at this level, we're no more talking about stories, we're talking about features. So the first scaling level actually says that, okay, we're not going to use, usually used to talk about, let's say, epics in this area. As you can see, it will come about. So the first scaling area, we're talking about enabler and features. An enabler would be the same as at this level, and a feature is basically composed out of stories. So you can decompose a feature into multiple stories. As you see, the feature would flow through the project program Kanban. If we look at this level, we're coming to a very interesting topic. We're going to have a detailed look at that soon. It's the Agile release train, and basically the Agile release train with the PI planning is the heart of SAFe. That is like the core element of SAFe. The Agile release train is a team of teams, as you can see here, which is optimized for delivering value, let's say, on a specific, say, call it value stream, as you can see below. So you always build the teams in that direction, and you say, do we bring the people together who can ideally deliver value in a specific direction? And then if you do so, then you identify Agile release train. So the release train usually consists, I think, between 90 and 125 people within multiple teams. And as you can see, the train follows different cycles. So we have a continuous exploration. So that means, since we're talking about cross-functional teams, the MVP cycle, the lean UX cycle, or the lean startup cycle would integrate it in your whole product development phase. So it's not separated from saying, okay, first we're going to understand what do our customer require. It's more integrated into the whole. Then we have a continuous integration on our release train. So it means continuously integrate the code. As you can see here, these vertical lines, these are actually integration points within SAFe. We're going to have a look at that also in detail. Yeah, and of course, we have the whole DevOps area here. These are new with SAFe 4.6. These are the SAFe core competencies. I won't go into them into detail, but if you want to have a look, just click on that and you get like more information. What's required there. So maybe we're going to scale up. So what would be the next level? So we'll come to the large solution area. And in the large solution area, you see we have the same principles. We have now not a release train engineer, but we have a solution train engineer. We have a solution architect, we have a solution management, and they're basically the same roles, but let's say in a scale context. We get some new points here because, as you can see in this area, so a solution train consists of multiple Agile release trains, but you can also, as you can see, SAFe has let's say a concept to integrate suppliers within that area. Yeah, the feedback was basically, say, from some car manufacturers that that's really, actually the trainings I gave to people were always interesting in that area, and let's say when they have to integrate it, like, I don't know, some hardware routers or whatever into their whole product development cycle, which are delivered by a supplier. So at this level, we're no more talking about features, we're talking about capabilities, enabler is still the same, and again, we have another backup. So as you can see, just a large solution backlog which contains an enabler capability, and the colors are very important. So you can see this one is red and this one is blue. So what is an enabler? An enabler is basically something which enables business functionality. And if you can think about projects, I think all of you have participated in such a project, where the people are saying, hey, we have to get rid of this technical guild, we have to do it. We now have to spend the next, I don't know, 6 sprints to fix that. That was all fine until it hits the product owner. You say, why we do this? What's the value? Is there any reason to do it? You see, yeah, of course we have to do it because it's a technical guild. Yeah, first I would say that's bad marketing. You would never get your idea passed through. So what SAFe did actually say, they came up with an enabler concept. So as I said, an enabler enables business functionality. You're making technical build transparent, and not just once a year. That's something you do continuously. Continuously maintain your, let's say, requirements for technical changes or getting rid of technical guild within the same backlog where your features live. And I think that's a really smart approach. So what does that mean? If, let's say, we have the enabler at this priority stage, then probably it might be that this feature will never happen when this enabler is not fixed. And suddenly you raise business awareness. Suddenly business understand we have to do this to get that. It's an easy concept, but I think was to continuously maintain the systems, that's really great. Yeah, as you can see, this is called the architecture runway. It's something which might increase over time. So you always understand. So let's say if the amount of enablers increase within your program backlog, then you might have some technical issues and you might get rid of them. So it's always transparent. Technical guild is not hidden. It is part of the whole product development. Okay. And as you can see, that concept scales as well. So you can have big enabler. So you want to do autonomous driving, we're looking for, I don't know, a new camera or radar system or whatever. Yeah, you probably won't get your autonomous car if you haven't fixed that. Okay, so that's just an, let's say, introduction to the enabler concept. Here we're on the large solution phase, and maybe we're talking about, let's have a look at this. Oh no, we do this in the PI planning, we will see further. And now let's go up. Portfolio level. I would say, the feedback of most, let's say, plain Agile guys is why do I have to care about this? But what is applied here is actually system thinking. If you want to be fast here, from my point of view, you have to understand this. That's, as I mentioned before, look for connections, share, connect, understand. Do one step forward, even out of the area, understand, okay, on the program level we have this and that going on. It always helps the whole organization. So what do you have on the portfolio level? On the portfolio level, we have, see now this ends, we have the big epic owners, so yeah, more like executives, C-level, whatever. With the enterprise architect also represented from this area, we again have a Kanban, portfolio Kanban, and that is also something I really like in this area because it makes, let's say, the biggest initiatives visible right away. So we have one C-level here. You probably can share that experience, and then you have multiple, let's say, C-level stakeholders which work in totally different directions. So the one say, yeah, okay, this year I'm going to take care about that. The other one say, okay, yeah, I don't care. That is my project. I'm getting the bonus for this. So let's do that. No problem. They start working, but what they do is actually they're continuously confusing the teams. So the teams get, I don't know, this sprint this direction, next sprint that direction, and that doesn't help. And that is the reason why I think it's a really valuable tool from all of that. Even if you just pick that part out and manage to establish that on a portfolio level, that really helps to understand the whole company, what they're currently working on, in a common sense, not in a single sense. The people start to communicate. The suddenly executives start to talk to each other. So it's no more an isolated thing. They now understand that they all have to push it further in the right direction. And you have, let's say, high transparency. Yeah. We have the concept of lean budgeting. So we come to that if we just have a short look at flow. But the basic concept of lean budgeting is that you don't budget projects, because budgeting projects leads to a start-stop mentality, and that's something which costs a lot of money. But unfortunately, not everybody understood this right now. So everybody's doing budgeting at the start of the year. I mean, that's even fine. You can use that budget, but it's really smart, as you can see here, to, let's say, focus your budget dynamically during the year. So that means if you have a guardrail, which could be a market event far in the future, you might, so to understand what's going around your company, that's very crucial. It's not enough to focus what you have to plan as innovation. You have to look outside and understand what do the other companies do. Will these innovations they're planning, they're going to roll out, impact my business? And if they do so, then you can, let's say, set just some points on your guardrail mark where you say, okay, in August we're expecting this from another provider, and you can dynamically switch your budget. But what is the main concept of lean budgeting is to continuously keeping flow alive. And flow means team can develop. Teams can deliver something. We will not stop them, we will not start them, they continuously can deliver. So, on this side you have, let's say, like are things that every area can share. We have, of course, metrics, which is important for them. We have the shared services, which can be, I don't know, legal, finance, whatever. So if you just need someone from that area, just pull them in. And we got community of practices, we got milestones, but objective milestones, we got road mapping for midterm, short-term, long-term. Of course, we have to have a vision. We got the system team, which can help us integrating here at these integration points, and of course, UX. What we're going to do now is, as you see, I'm spending a lot of time on this, but I think that's a really valuable thing. And if you get it once, you can always use it again. Even if you say, I don't care about safe, but at first, about portfolio Kanban, I just pick up that part. Good enough. So what we're going to do now, maybe a bit faster, we have a look at the safe principles. What is in there? So the first principle, and you always can see here where you find the things on the big picture. Yeah, the first principle is take an economic view. And this is something I always saw as a flaw within playing Scrum, that everything was agile dynamically, but nobody asked how do we actually earn money. I mean, yeah, somebody have to earn money. So the idea is basically that you're going to deliver incrementally. It doesn't matter on what area and what scale level, except of a one-time release. If you deliver incrementally, you can deliver value right away. So there was always, let's say, this the saying that safe is waterfall, but it isn't. And if you say safe is waterfall, then you don't understand the concepts from my point of view. But that exactly is not waterfall. You're delivering incrementally. So, principle 2, apply systems thinking. That is something we're going to find within other frameworks, especially less. And that's a really important point. That's also where the presentation started. You have to understand that your development team, that your management team, that your product owner team, whatever, is part of this. And if you just optimize one of them, you do local optimization, but this won't change this. So, zoom out, understand who's involved, and optimize the full value stream. And the full value stream means not in our software development area we have a trigger that we should write a new feature, and then we're going to even deploy it, not release it to production. But ask yourself, have you generated money by putting that feature on some staging machine? Probably not. So always ask yourself, what is my full value stream? What is the full value stream for my organization? And it's really interesting if you're going to, let's say, trace that value stream and build up some kind of Kanban system to identify how the value flows through a company, you suddenly understand that what you always look and try to optimize was just a very small part of it. But imagine, I don't know, in a Formula 1 race, everybody's busy with the engine, but nobody's asking if the car has tires. You can optimize one area perfectly, but you won't get it on the street. So always think about, step out and look, what is my full value flow? Yeah, principle 3, assume variability, preserve options. Also something interesting, I mean, probably most of you know this, but over the time you might forget it. What we tend to do is researching a long time for a single option. We think, of course, at this point of time, this has to be the ideal option. It could be anything. It could be, let's say, like some feature we would like to provide to some customer. It also can be a framework. It can also be a scale framework. Doing the set-based approach, I'm just using safe right now, because at this point of time, this is the right solution. From my point of view, that is bad. So that is the reason why always be objective. You implement that point-based, but what you actually require is too far away, so you have no chance to adjust anymore. What you can do instead is, I mean, that is something which comes out, it's also common in plain software development, like some POCs or Spike. In the beginning, you start with multiple options, and during concrete learning points, where we evaluate, where we learn about your options, throw them away, go into the next cycle, throw them away, and at the end you will get what you actually require. Because agility just makes sense in an environment where you actually don't know what you require. And if you assume that you know what you require in a constantly changing environment, you will fail. Simple rule. I mean, there are cases where this makes sense. So, for example, I'm not sure if I want to build a house in the Agile way. I would prefer this than having, I don't know, a shack afterwards. Alright, the principle 4, build incrementally with fast integrated learning cycles. So it's the same actually. What you do is the teams iterate through their sprints. They plan, do, check, adjust. They learn all the time. They always adjust to the appropriate direction. They do the same on a program level. They do the same on a solution level. They do the same on a portfolio level. That is something you can have through your company. Base milestones on objective evaluation of working systems. Very long title, but very cool thing. And how do you know that you're actually on track? Anyone maintaining roadmaps here? With milestones?
Quarterly based, yeah.
Quarterly based? Mm-hmm. How they are connected actually to the teams?
Well, they're being discussed in every refinement.
Okay, so they're pretty close.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. But imagine you're on a portfolio level, you actually don't know what your company is doing, and you don't care actually because your bonuses are so great that it's just enough that you, once a quarter, you just draw some milestones within your roadmap. Say, this is my assumption and this is going to happen. I don't care if that is connected or whatever. Yeah, but that is wishful thinking. And that is something which always fails. I would be really interested in how much actually something which was planned in a roadmap in the long term actually happened. I would assume that at least probably more than 50% were just vanished, or probably more. So what are actually objective milestones? Objective milestones, let's say the safe contact is something you can demo, you can show. It is something that is really there. It's not a concept, it's not a PowerPoint, and it's not a traffic light. It is something you can show to your stakeholders and to the customer. And that is the only objective measurement you have within your company. So they're focusing on demos every PI increment. I think now it died. Right. Principle 6, visualize and limit VIP. We're also going to see that in the last area, so that's pretty common. What is the problem actually? And I think that is a problem where most of the teams are already aware that limiting work has a very, let's say, positive effect to increase your throughput. But let's say on a higher management level, there is the thinking of we push everything in, I don't care, just make it work. Yeah. What happened actually, teams are overwhelmed, everybody, let's say, actually stops the pipeline from flowing, and so reducing your work and understand what we can really achieve is something which really fosters your flow, but it's also something which can give you really nice prediction about what's going to happen in the future. So if we think about prediction, if we've learned that, let's say, one big PI increment is going to take 5 team sprints, 10 weeks, then you suddenly understand, okay, our multiple teams, our Agile release train has a velocity, for example, I don't know, we achieved 500,000 story points, for example. Suddenly you get a higher predictability, understood, okay, in the next quarter, I probably have, maybe I can expect same results. And that's an easy thing. So you don't have to overload them, you can really plan work on your previous performance. And what is the problem here? U curve, utilization. Yeah, looks really complicated, but it's an interesting thing because everybody would like to release on demand all the time, every day, right now. But most people forget that this also costs money. And the release isn't that cheap. So just by, let's say, making it faster than you're rolling on software doesn't mean you're saving money rolling on software. So what is the trick actually? The trick is automation. So what you can see is, if you're releasing small features, so the batch size of your release is very, very small, it costs you a lot of money. if you have, let's say, big batch sizes, because they will go down. But the problem is the utilization. So you're holding back functionality. It's also an important thing to know. You're holding back something which the customer can already use. So if we say, okay, we're just releasing all 3 months, is that really, let's say, does that make sense? Or could we roll it out even further? We have to slice our, let's say, tickets or stories, epics, whatever, differently. And that is a really smart, easy metric or tool to figure out where actually my ideal batch size lays in my release process. Yeah. The synchronization with cross-domain planning. What is the problem here? Is everybody working, or everyone working in a setup where multiple teams have different sprint ranges? So like one team is sprinting, for example, 2 weeks, one team is sprinting 4 weeks. No? But there are some. And what is the problem here? The problem here is that your, let's say, the slowest team drags the train. So if you have work that depends on multiple teams, this team actually decides when integration happens. And you really have to be aware of that. In the safe area, synchronization and cross-synchronization and cadence is a really important thing. It really depends on your environment. I mean, if you're now thinking about Kanban systems where you have a continuous flow within your system, these principles work a bit different. Because at what point you should synchronize, at what point you should integrate. So, what is the idea here is actually you have a fixed 2 weekly integration cycle where multiple teams working on the same area integrate until they reach the program increment boundary. And of course you can see they're also demoing. I'm not sure if having every 2 weeks a big system demo is the smartest way, because it might be that the team's not doing anything else than just preparing demos. Maybe that one would be enough. That is the principle behind that you have, on a cadence base, you provide the teams fixed synchronization points. Okay, we're coming to the end. So yeah, that's something, since, let's say, SAFe is very focused on leadership. So let's say it's a management challenge to do all that, to change all that, to foster the new mindset. Yeah, they're very strict and say you have to provide autonomy with purpose, mission, and minimum possible constraints to your employees, and create an environment of mutual influence and foster knowledge workers, individuals know more about the work that they perform than their boss. And I think that is something really good, because other scenarios where the boss usually knows more, they tend to have a lot of micromanagement. So, yeah, okay, you're going to set up something for me, the teams are working, the teams are sprinting. After 4 weeks, the boss comes in and say, hey, I weren't part of the whole process, but this is wrong. So, go back, set up again, align a new strategy, it's just a waste. Decentralized decision making, also here it's about to foster flow. You really have to understand which decisions in the organization can be centralized and can be decentralized. So again, micromanagement, everything is centralized. One person decides if you're going to commit that feature into that class. Maybe that's not the appropriate way. So really think about centralized strategic decisions. They are made infrequent, they are long-lasting and provide significant economic of scale, so they have an impact. That are decisions you can centralize. If you decentralize anything else, frequent, time-critical, and require local information, so teams can decide for themselves, they're knowledgeable workers, they know what they have to do, you will gain on speed. Here we have it, the Agile release train. As you can see, it's just more as of just software development team, so basically everything is included which drives into the direction of creating value. They're made for a constant setup. and they also tend to break up silos. Because, yeah, I mean, also the world of scaling Agile, they're very, let's say, strict mindsets about that you don't, in the future, you won't have, you only will have cross-functional teams, they can do anything. That might be true, but I haven't experienced that. I'm always ready to be convinced from the other direction. So what happens here, at least you bring the people together who can, let's say, create value into one common direction. Okay, so now my device. All right, what we see here is the PI planning, so the hardware safe. That is actually you would like to achieve with a big group planning. So what happens actually after, or actually like in the last 2 weeks of the running program increment, and the teams are going to prepare the work for the next big program increment, so for the next upcoming 10 weeks. So what they recommend is actually bring all people together, stakeholder, management, developers, put them into one big room and clarify what you're going to expect like within the next 10 weeks and let them clarify that. And what we get out is actually such an artifact where we see you have different teams on the area, and of course we're going to make transparencies, we're going to make dependencies transparent. And that program work, from my point of view, is something very valuable. Even there are different mindsets. I mean, some say in some other areas you don't have dependencies if you have just cross-functional teams. Every team can do anything. Again, it depends on your context. If you don't see yourself in having just cross-functional teams and you see, yeah, it would help us to make dependency transparent and just make this, doesn't hurt, it's really valuable. And it's actually, I thought in the beginning that it's really mad to bring so many people together, but over the time I understood the concept, and now I think it's something which is very valuable because with the same message to all the people, executives, they're giving the mission, they're giving the vision to all. They're sharing their energy, and these are people who have energy. So, imagine the CSO standing in front of you and like giving this energy about what we are together now going to do for the next 10 weeks. That's something different when the product owner just pick you up and say, come on, we have to do a grooming or refinement. New buttons required. Yeah, that's the valuable thing at this big group planning, and it's also cost efficient because you will have these sync meetings anyhow afterwards. You don't see them as this, but they come.
Did you experience any kind of a maximum number of participants?
That's really hard to say. I mean, at some point I think it's getting really weird. I mean, I've heard from Egon, I think they're supporting Deutsche Bahn. Hundreds, thousands of people, but to be honest, I don't know how they set this up.
So we had 120.
120.
Mhm.
That's fine. That's fine.
But that sounds like a really good number to bring in one room. I think that's. Yeah. So everybody think like scaling is linear, but I think it doesn't. At some point, doesn't scale further.
It's basically a fast track workshop.
Yes, it is. You're answering questions right away. You're not waiting 2 months until you have your next fixed meeting with management. You just get it right away.
Management gives the vision of the portfolio, and you have all the different levels present,
Yes.
right down to the technicians.
Yes. I think that's really valuable to have those questions answered right away. And this event is really heavily time boxed, really heavily. So you have to come up with something. So the last, how does an art, the release train, sync with him, or when he's actually sprinting? That's an important thing to understand. Also, if we have now a look at less afterwards. So within the art, you have your, let's say, standard Scrum routines, so nothing changed actually. And around the art, so this is just the one team view, and around the art you have a big cycle which is also rotating. And you see, you have a PO sync and a Scrum of Scrum sync. So in the PO sync, usually all POs involved, they are, let's say, set up on a team, and Scrum Masters as well, and they sync on a regular basis. You have the PA planning, event, inspect, and adapt. That's some for improvement stuff, and the preparation for the PI planning. So you have small circles, and around you have the synchronization circles.
What does ART stand for?
Agile release training. So and this is something I'm personally very skeptical about. This is the safe implementation roadmap. So at the end of each chapter, I would like to give you a forecast how you can, let's say, use those things. And they have a very strict, let's say, idea how you should roll out this framework. And there is something which is not mentioned here, but from my point of view makes much more sense, which is the safe quick start approach. So the safe quick starts approach is just focus on getting one Agile release train trained, ready, and prepare for launch and start its first PI iteration. That's it, the safe quick start approach. It's just about this, and yeah, prepare for launch. Maybe there's somewhere hidden here. They're always hiding those things.
No, that's not inside.
It's on the website, but not in the.
Yeah, it's not here. So I just highly can recommend that because I think that is really heavyweight. So
But isn't that essential?
that would be part of Essential Safe. I totally forget about the safe configuration. Thanks for that. So you can set up safe within 4 different setups. You have the portfolio, solution, program, or actually essentials. But yeah, and also here you can click everything, and as you can see, you can do plenty of trainings for the next few years. That is waste, by the way. So if we would measure flow, that is a low value adding activity.
But it creates tension. It keeps the tension up.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We can talk about lead time and process time.
Huh?
But lead time and process time.
Yeah, that is.
One lead time.
We have a bad lead time. No, sorry, a bad process time. I think now it passed away. Side. Yeah.
The picture that looks a little bit like.
All right. So now it's time. I always see this icon. It's time for a game. So I'm looking for volunteers, at least 2. What we're going to do is we're going to do a business estimate. I would like you to experience what it means to add business value to your activities. Doesn't matter. Talking about epics, features, capabilities. So you consider your background. I will give you some poker cards. Here we have one. Great. So you're not one of the master stakeholders within this company. And I'm searching for another one. Here. We have scale of 3. Doesn't care. So it's probably the first time in your life you get Agile cards. It's high level management. So we also have one another. Okay. So now, how does it go? Actually, what we would like to know is, we'd like to understand what is the weighted shortest job first. It's called the WSJF. So what is the shortest, the job which has the shortest duration but the highest impact? And on this side you can see 3 initiatives. So we have a new internationalization strategy, we have a new mobile app, and we have an Oracle upgrade. So as a stakeholder, you know actually, or as product management or portfolio management, this is crucial for a solution demo with our investor within 10 weeks. From the new mobile app, we're expecting, let's say, more an increase of users on our mobile devices, on our mobile platforms, about 30,000 more, of course, because it's so great. And we have to do an Oracle upgrade because we're running out of support within 5 months. And I would like to ask the product management or stakeholder team actually to estimate these parameters. So we basically start with the first one. And if you have your estimate, I would like to ask you to just write it down here. And of course you have to talk, you have to interact. So now you have to understand, you have to come up with a common estimate. And what you see here is actually we already got a team estimate, so that is the size for the whole thing. Teams already estimated that. So let's start discussing about the user business value of the new internationalization strategy. Give it an estimate.
So what do you think?
I'm just consulting.
Yeah, you see?
Manager and consulting.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
we're talking internationalization. What can you provide a little bit more information?
As I said, we would like to get more venture capital for our investors, so we said we're going to roll it in a few countries, and this is crucial for an upcoming demo within the next month, let's say.
Within the next month. So it's a relatively short job duration. Do you think it's a short job duration?
So we make a business user value for
First, the business user business.
User business value and
User.
user and user.
Yeah, that's not so much.
So just give it a run, raise your cards, and see what comes out here for the user business value. 3, 2, 1. So we have 5, and 3. Could you align, or you say that's fine?
Go on.
You have more, maybe you know something which the other one doesn't know.
Can I line up the 5?
Okay.
So then please give me the 5. So I think we just do it with 1 because we're going to see the effect. And now please also rate the time criticality, or estimate the time criticality. As you know, it's crucial for the investor demo.
It's about 5 months. This should be ready in 5 months. So it's
In 5 months.
2 to 3
I changed my direction to 1 month.
Damn it.
Okay. That's why I said
1 PI.
When that's
I'm
Okay.
Like in real life.
Listen, take some. Doesn't matter.
so criticality. How do you use the scale? 1 is a low criticality.
1 is low, 20 would be very high.
Yeah, I would say 20. I mean, it's just 1 month of time, right?
So now line.
It should be from a time criticality perspective. It should be the highest priority.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying 13. Because if that upgrade suddenly creates a problem, then we're going to have to jump.
For our in relation to our no relation.
Sorry?
The duration for the new mobile app and Oracle upgrades.
So maybe we.
I don't know.
So,
Just want this feature. Teams have to take care of it.
So
No,
you're
but
going
for
to
simulation,
13? What do you think? Also 13? Yeah, okay, can lower it to 13.
Can you please write it down? Thank you very much. And now to the last one, risk reduction and or opportunity enablement.
Well, opportunity enablement is relatively high because we get more money out of that, right?
Is there my business case behind? Okay, that's a good.
It's a huge business case.
Huge business case. So then we'll say.
But I don't know. I'm not sure about the risks. Though.
I'm going to risk just 3. It is not bringing money. It is only bringing investment money. It's not bringing customers, and it's not bringing final income. It's just bringing investment money.
But maybe there's a larger amount of customers because of the different languages.
And that's why I was going to actually
And can you-
mobile app, because the old mobile app brings.
Can you see what suddenly happens? Management starts to interact and exchange information. No, you're laughing. But in reality, that's only in a few cases that happens. they suddenly are responsible, all of them, for deciding even on a feature which is not in their, let's say, territory, how important it is. And they're aligning together to a common strategy. It's a really powerful tool. So,
And it seems in relation to the app, the story points for each and N are very high.
but we're going to see that at the end. So that's just the business part. The teams delivered that. So we have an 8, 3, 8. So
I'd come to 5, but
Such a, come on, opportunity in
as I said, it's only investment money. It's not customers and it's not customer money.
but it's money and it provides opportunity.
Yeah, but we still
It's a
don't,
one-time money.
okay, for a simulation purpose,
but we know that.
maybe we can agree on a 5.
5.
So can you please write it down?
Thank you.
It's the fast trick.
That's why we have moderators.
We don't feel good with that.
Hey, I didn't
The manager and the
mission
manager.
5, so
That's
we're
your job.
equal.
So we have the 5, we have the 13, and we have the 23. So what are you going to do now? So we actually identified the cost of delay, and now we're going to divide them through the job size. So we have 23 divided through 300, and that gives us a factor which is currently 0.07. Thank you very much. That looks very academic, but it isn't actually. What this does, it tells you which of the things has the highest impact for the business with the lowest implementation duration. We would do the same exercise for us, these features, we also get a factor, and suddenly we can prioritize on a, let's say, based on objective information. So it's not about my feature is more important because it's my feature. It's not about this is the strategy because I'm getting the bonus. No, it's that you're doing the right things at the right time. And I think especially pushing those kind of things more to management, more to stakeholders, bring them together, let them estimate what's really important for the company. Break up single decisions and foster them to work together as a team.
Yeah. Question, how do you estimate the business value for enablers?
Same way actually. So if we talk about,
So I got no end user.
okay, the Oracle upgrade is an enabler. If your database is down, nobody will use the system.
Say, I think you say the user can also be the next team or department who will get it, the value. Can also be an indirect user.
So the users of the databases.
Yeah, of course, it's internal value. And you're just estimation relations, so it's okay.
What's the value if the company isn't running because the database is down? Massive.
Yeah, I mean
It's
that's
life and death value. That's
Okay, so in this
that's
case,
taking
okay.
oxygen out of the company.
But what will you do if it's like a technical debt company?
Doesn't matter if it's
So,
dependent upon that.
if that is the case, basically you can directly connect it to a functionality. So you say, okay, we rated that functionality, and we noticed, for example, that for our internationalization strategy, we have to fix something more in our system. It has the highest priority, so it's totally related to that, so we have to also solve that problem.
And it's also the fun with the time criticality, that 5 months out, it's not so critical. But as time goes on, each month doing this assessment, then it becomes critical.
Now I killed it.
So the backlog value then changes with time.
What's the partners then?
Okay, that's it basically. I would then step up to the next thing. I would just say we're going to make like a 5-minute break. That probably helps. Everybody looks really exhausting. We just have to see how far we get in time. I'm really sorry. It's not because I'm a safe fan, it's because there's so many things to cover. And I just want to share those information with you. If you use it or not, it's really up to you. I think it's just important for you to have them. And I think through the next area we can go a bit faster. Good, then let's
Might have missed it.
Das Gefühl, dass es ein bisschen sehr weiß.
Das musst du eh rausschneiden. Aber es ist sehr weiß, oder? Falsch geschrieben. Falsch geschrieben. Das wäre eben schon, das stimmt total nicht, wenn ich nicht spiele.
Okay, everybody, will you please go back to your seats, or if you want, you can also stay where you are. But we just need a bit more silence so that we can continue.
Es geht in 30 Sekunden weiter. Jetzt geht's weiter.
All right. So, it was good to have a break. Mine is not a bit refreshed. Yeah, we spent a lot of time in the first chapter. As I said, I really wanted to share the knowledge about this. It's called a library. Take what you need, leave what you don't need. And now things will probably go a bit faster. Because now we're going to dive into, let's say, more real Agile area, and we're going to start with this. So, what basically is less? Like Greg Lehrman said, as a Scrum, it is really close to Scrum. You have simple rules. You have like 1 to 8 teams. And what you can see is actually, or just let me ask a question, who has experience with less actually? Someone coaching less? Okay, so you're the man. Right, to give you maybe also some input here, I started with SAFe, and then I came to less, because I really want to understand both worlds. I want to understand what are the concepts behind this, let's say more lean world, more agile world, more the smaller the less world, and between the big elephant. And I think that is something where the things getting interesting. Get the knowledge in one area, get the knowledge in the other area, and made of what you basically need. Right, so you can see here we have multiple small feature teams. Of course, they are all cross-functional. You can see here, so it's very close. So this is basically Scrum. And as you can see, you have borders, boundaries between those teams. But on the sprint planning one level, all the teams or representatives from those feature teams, they come together and do the first preparation. What is also interesting in lessons, you have one product owner. In SAFe, we saw that we had multiple product owner for multiple teams. So if you got only one, unless you got only one. And he's doing all the product backlog configuration, or actually prioritization. What is also interesting here to point out, like in comparison, you can see the coordination error. So let's say less isn't really strict about how teams should coordinate, or very concrete. And I think that is something which is the interesting part of less. It's not so concrete. From my point of view, this lightweight, lean setup can actually help you if you're, let's say, experienced, if you really understood what you would actually like to achieve within your environment. You don't have this, let's say, fixed roles within this whole framework. It's really simple, and you could implement it for your own requirements and for your own needs. I think that is one of the main strengths of this. So the coordination basically, so they see, okay, teams don't coordinate on a, let's say, whatever Scrum of Scrum, and say that teams coordinate when it is required. They just start to talk. Teams can coordinate for Scrum of Scrum if they think it is useful, but teams can also coordinate in the daily standard when they're going to send some, let's say, silent listener to another team. As you can see, it's up to the people. There is no best practice. SAFe is also built for technical excellence. For this, we have the manager thing. Do you see any manager here? Sorry for you. No, you don't see managers. We'll come to that a bit later. but just the default roles applied here. What you also can see here in this area from backlog refinement, I really like that picture because it basically explains less over the most areas. So the product backlog refinement is also something where a team can work on, where you can have multi-site teams, where multiple teams are working on one refinement. So if they think it makes sense, we should sit together and do the refinement, and they do it. As you can see, I mean, these are our adults. You don't have to tell them how they should work, how they should do it. So smart people. Yeah. And of course, the goal is to have a potentially shippable product increment. Again, as you can see here, this is not so it's not split up. It's just connected. We have an overall retrospective after the sprint. We have a team retrospective, and we have an overall sprint review, where I think that is also really important.
To me, that looks exactly the same like the team layer of SAFe. Because in SAFe, on the team layer, you can also have multiple Scrum teams, and they also need to be coordinated, and they have...
Right, but they all have one product owner. And that is the main difference. You have only one product owner left.
But on the team layer, you also have in SAFe also just one product.
Yeah, but here you have overall one product owner. There is no product owner on the team level.
So effectively, that one product owner needs to be able to pretty much deconstruct all those stories to fulfill, let's say, multiple teams within that one.
So what I really like at Les basically is that it's so natural if you're, what is the English term? Ja, das für die Präsentation.
Sag's auf Deutsch?
Okay, also wenn man wirklich, sag ich mal, engagiert ist und auch, wie soll ich sagen, proaktiv an Dinge herangeht, das steuert eigentlich Les. Nicht steuert, das fördert Les. Les fördert Proaktivität. So, how does, let's say, a product owner has this huge backlog, how he's going to work with it, and how at the end you're going to have, let's say, a refinement or something comes out. You basically, yeah?
If you have a high age of maturity in the company, that will work.
No, there is another solution for that. The teams do it.
Yeah, but the teams need to be agile. They need to have the mindset. They need to.
Yes.
I mentioned the team maturity.
Right. That is the correct point. You have to have a high maturity in agility.
Yeah.
You have to be.
You don't need old people. Yeah, I know.
No,
It has nothing to do with agile.
it's not about that. It's also. Let's say
It's the opposite even.
it has to do a lot with trust and respect. I mean, those are actually the Agile principles which are fostered here. So you have one big product backlog, which is owned by the product owner, and this is, let's say, like the main ideas are pulled out in the sprint planning. One, as you can see, it's over all the team areas, and in the sprint planning too, the sprints by themselves, they deconstruct, let's say, the big topics into whatever they think it makes sense. There is no fixed rule set, but let's say the teams are responsible for coming up with something. Because otherwise,
it's similar like being product owner of SAP within a 500-man company, and you actually have 4, 5, 6, 7 different consultancy companies working on the SAP system, and the product owner is actually running all of them at the same time and prioritizing it. And using their technical knowledge of the system to actually then prioritize it.
But maturity is the right word. You can just do that, but teams really understand what they're doing. You're still not.
I don't get it.
You don't get it?
No. I get how the function works and everything, but I'm still my question is about the PO. So if the teams ultimately create the product and decompose the product, whatever.
They're not creating the product, they're decomposing what the product owner thinks is important. So he's collecting the ideas in a big backlog.
Okay, so what's the starting point? The idea, right?
Yes.
Aha.
He knows the strategy, let's say, he knows what's important. He prioritizes it, that is his realm actually, where he's the king.
Okay.
And the teams, actually, they pull them and they decompose it into whatever they require to do the work within a sprint.
But
maybe one point to different. In SAFE, the starting point is the value sphere.
Yes.
And I see less the starting point, more the product of the developer. Maybe I'm wrong.
That is I mean, the focus here is always on deliver value to the customer. That is the highest thing that is what you focus on here. Always deliver in a short lead time to the customer the highest value. Do we have anything else missing? No. But I really like the picture, so you can always look it up. It's also available on less.works. Right, and basically less can also help you to descale the organization. In the first sight it sounds weird, but it really questions if you need such organizational structures, and I really like that mindset. Because how many management areas do you reveal? Do you need really? Will adding more management, solve your problems? And Les is very strict about that. I mean, in training I was a bit upset, because, let's say, fostering a lot of fear for middle management, because let's say here you can become a product owner, or you probably don't add any value to the system. Yeah. Let's say, it's a statement at least. But it's an interesting statement because it really makes you rethink if this is what we do in our organization, is that really required? Do we need so many management levels? Or can we be, I mean, it's an extreme, and as you can see, all the frameworks are extremes. They're extreme sides, and from my point of view, don't take this as it is and implement it as it is. Find your context, see how you can apply it, and use the best out of it. And I think that's also the point where discussion stops. Because if someone's just wasting his time about saying, yeah, but we have to implement it, like let's really say it in the less guide, you will never get further. All right.
I have a question.
Yes?
What do you think is the maximum size of amount of teams you can do with this?
It's 2 to 8. That's the smallest. We also have a look at the huge less. So that's
So there's another version of less?
The largest less implementation is 6,000 people.
Okay. What?
So the largest one is Nokia. So the what is the network components? So basically, both safe and less came from Nokia. If you know, one from Nokia phones and one from Nokia networks on the network stations.
Okay, let me see if that works. At least the printer started. We should switch the format.
So maybe just one story which we have, for example, we have, let's say, between 10 and 100 teams which are continuously integrating, and the product owner, one of the highest manager, is using the product every 2 weeks. So it's really fostering working on short cycles. And that's really cool. There are so many teams and integrated product in short cycles.
What kind of software is it?
Autonomous driving. So to drive the car every 2 weeks. But it's a lot of challenge for flipping the organization over time and building all up the skills in the organization. So it's really, it shows also a lot of weaknesses from the past in the organization. It's not easy.
Thanks for your input. I think that is really valuable to have, let's say, stories from the field to really understand where it makes sense. But I also think that less is reflecting really hard. And it really asks you all the time, is that really the required scenario you need? And for example, if management is able to drive the car every 2 weeks as a full increment, or as something that is delivered as an objective milestone, as we've seen before, I think the same rules apply here. It's something different to see on a PowerPoint that we reach the state of autonomous driving in our, let's say, traffic light system, instead of providing a demo where the, I don't know, management level could see the car, go into the car, can drive the car. That is objective measurement. That's reality. not PowerPoint. Yeah, when we come to PowerPoint, so, yeah, I set up my technology stack, but it's getting worse here. Thank you very much. Yeah. So that is also something. It's a complete picture. I basically also like the work on the way less and visualize everything. So around you can see a lot of experiments, and that's also like a core principle of less, or it's not a core principle, and it's part of less. And it's about understanding what is really required. And let's say actually that there is no best practice. You have to figure out for yourself. Try it out, learn it, see if it applies. If it doesn't, throw it away. If it helps you, keep it. As you can see, we thought about before, huge safe elephant. Actually, you find everything for any topic you require. Here it's the complete opposite. And also like that way of thinking. You really have to follow that. Then we have inside the guides area. That's basically, it's a bit maybe confusing when we talk about experiments and guides, because experiments say there are no best practices, but guides say, hey, maybe we can do it in that way. So it's guiding you actually how you could get less running actually and maintaining less. As you can see here, we have the framework in the core. The framework is actually set up by a few simple rules. So we have seen the framework before, and these are the rules actually. So which roles applies, and what kind of ceremonies do we have. So it's very straightforward. And in the heart we have the principles. So, who finds something that you've seen before? The other framework.
System thinking.
Yeah.
System thinking.
Probably if you would ask Dean Leffingwell and Greg Lehrman, they say that's not the case. This is a totally different interpretation of what we think queuing theory is.
It's just a different picture of the same topic.
Yes. So you can find similarity. Queuing theory, of course, the P limits, faster flow, make the pipeline efficient. Transparency, more with less. Whole product focus, I think that is what you mentioned actually. I really like that less. It's really, really product focused, the whole thing. It's customer centric and continuous improvement toward perfection. So it's really about becoming all the time better and better in what you're doing. With the lead thinking approach, system thinking, and the trigger process. So I also can recommend you just have a look at those topics. It's really a great page actually, that's what works. Just click it if you're interested in one of those areas. So as you can see from slide before, they are like good. So if you have any questions, please let me know. But as I said, I mean, it's really, let's say, our decision what we're going into details or not. So if you want to go into details, just let me know. We say that's just fine for now. Understood, there are principles around, so we can continue.
So far, less just appears to be very wishy-washy.
But that is the strength of less.
Then I don't need less.
Why?
Because without any structures, that's what I do.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question. Who actually predicted you that your life is running until this point of time as it did? Who gave you
Exactly
the rules? Who predicted you that this is the way you have to live?
From minute to minute, I change them.
Yeah, you see? We have it. Very process control. Every time you decide by yourself what is the right next step, what may be wrong, sometimes more often wrong. But that is the strength from my point of view, and as we also had before, maturity is an important point here. teams, the product owner, they really have to know the organization, have to understand what's the main value here. And being so strict in those areas, I think they can really change the organization. So you don't say we're going to leave it as it is, we're going to find adaptations to all the system around us. I mean, yesterday I read something like, okay, we don't need fake portfolio management. There is no requirement for portfolio management. If the CEO or C-level drives the car, that's portfolio management. Enough. Yeah, you're laughing, but
okay, that's senior management, just plain senior management.
Right, but it's a very strict approach. I would also say don't take it too serious all the time, but then at least think about it. If it's required, then you always adapt within your areas, or then you also can say we're going to focus a strict change.
Yeah, if the PO, as you say, the PO is the decision, is the key figure. If they can actually communicate towards development and also take upper management with them, then yes.
Right. Okay, let's have a controlling humans now. So how does a less backlog refinement go? I mean, when you're from the Agile world, you're not going to see anything new. And that would also, let's say, one interesting part of less, it's really natural. With the overall product backlog refinement, where you see team or representatives, it's always up to them. It's not you always have to send everybody. You decide who should come. With the product owner, the product backlog, and team or representatives from other areas, and they basically do like a high-level refinement. We had the topic before. That is exactly this. So they're not going into too much detail. And again, here it's a question of how much detail we really need to make a decision. It's really about making fast decisions. Just collecting the details. They're good enough now. Okay. Prioritize them and let's say enable them from a team so they can pull those kind of information. As you can see, team here we have a multi-team product backlog refinement. That will be if multiple teams will work on the same direction within a backlog, they will come together, they will do the refinement together, and if you have like product backlog refinement teams, sorry, if you have just like a single team which is focused on one feature delivery, then they will do them by their own, and they will come to a product backlog. So it's really up to you. Yeah, sorry.
What's the role of the stakeholder/user at this stage?
At this stage, none actually. So this is the representative. Or
So basically, if you as a team says you need some knowledge or you need some people outside of the product or of the organization, so you invite them in the refinement. They help you with doing the refinement on the items. So they can either be the overall refinement, but usually working directly with the teams. Like when you say less is Scrum, one of the things is thinking how Scrum works for one team and how you can apply it in a large context. So like working directly with users and stakeholders. And so it's thinking about how you can do backlog refinement directly with users and stakeholders. Bring them in.
Thanks for that. It's one of the most important points. Unfortunately, I forgot. The stakeholder talk directly to the teams. That is something I really like. You don't have to have this waste of, let's say, product owner, whatever. The people who know what they would like to have talk to the people who can, let's say, do what they like to have. It's a really easy principle, and I really like it. Okay, right. So let's have a look at the sprint planning actually. Yeah. You see you're always getting less information now. It's basically a sprint planning, same pattern team or representatives. We have the product owner, we have the product backlog, where the team pull their items and they refine them by their own as they require. Nothing special here. We have the last sprint review and the sprint retrospective. And also here you can see we have the overall sprint review with the teams. I think at this point, they all come together, even the teams, on the high level sprint.
It is review, everyone is from the product.
Right. The product owner, team, user, and stakeholders, they're reviewing the product, and of course they're going to use get reviews and input for the next iteration step. So I think that's also really important to notice. So it's not just like you say, okay, we see that feature, we make a check, and it's really like presenting and marketing your feature to your stakeholders. So for example, they mentioned like a sprint preview bazaar where you can say you have multiple stations where you put like the new features you developed within the last 2 weeks. I mean, it's also kind of effort, but at least, and that is also something I only can motivate you to make more marketing for the things you develop. So don't go just through a checklist and say, okay, feature A, B, C, this is it. Really promote this stuff. It must be cool, it must be really fancy, because otherwise they won't come. It's okay, I've seen another Confluence page for the last 30 minutes, I don't care. Just show me something what I can use, what I can do, and that's what I really think that's a cool approach. Put the car there, put the guy in and say, all right, there's good marketing. And not, even if you're working probably for a car manufacturer, imagine they would say, or show this guy the same technical specification they came up with the last sprint. Where they say, now we build engine, I don't know what, whatever, now we have a new circuit building with new chips building. This guy don't care. He wants to drive the car, he wants to feel the experience. And I think, don't underestimate emotions in a sprint review. It's a really big enabler. If you're able to deliver emotions in the sprint review, you will get the focus for your product. And you will also get attention. Good. Sorry. We have, of course, the following team retrospective and an overall retrospective. So, pretty funny here you see an organizational structure supposed by Les. Do you see any management? Is this management? Yes, it is. So they basically see this as some kind of, let's say, line management functionality, but that's it. So beyond that, there would be no further. It's just, that's the guy who's taking care of the possibilities to become better at what they're doing, and that's it. Here we have something really funny. It's a really interesting concept, really funny. It's a really interesting concept, the Yanban department. Have you heard about that? Has everyone heard about the Yanban department? It's actually a pretty sad name if you're in the Yanban. It's actually a pretty sad name if you're in the Yanban department. So, what does it mean actually?
The screw-up department? The screw-up and fix department?
Yes. So basically, since Les is very strongly focusing on a definition of done, so it's really important to come up with a definition of done, follow the definition of done, and to be really strict on when things are done. They came up with this idea, so when you say as a team you're struggling, or it's multiple teams, you're struggling with getting the things ready for the review, to deliver the increment to the customers, work which are not done at the end of the sprint could potentially be, let's say, shifted to the Yanban department. Or actually, sorry, not shifted, the Yanban department is going to, in theory or the practice or
this. Maybe rather compared to a release team. So if you're in a very large organization and you as a team are not able to deliver every 2 weeks the product live to the market, and the under department is not encouraged, but usually it happens with large companies. You can also have like an integration team or system team. So, but you try as a team, removing the under work, doing, let's say, system integration testing, but sometimes there's some people outside the product which support releasing, especially in a very large organization. And even after 10 years in a transformation, you can still have an undone department helping the teams to deliver for release.
Thank you very much. So what they say actually is that the department ideally does not exist. So
it's an invisible marketing department.
it basically shows you how good you're integrating. I mean, that could also be a part to really see what are the topics of the other department. We have continuous integration issue, for example. Do we need more automation? I think
It could also be a systems team,
yeah.
release train engineer, comparable to the people.
So as you see, again, we have very much space to implement it for your requirement and your context. Okay, so let's have a look. Do the next thing. So this is less huge. What we've got, so basically the same thing, but with something new. What we can find here is actually, you can see now we get an APO. What is the APO? The APO is actually the area product owner who's responsible. As you can see, I really like that visualization because you can immediately see what he's doing. So he's responsible for one product area. You can also see we have the overall product owner and we have one product backlog. And the funny thing, or not the funny thing, the interesting thing is now that the area backlog of the APO is not a separately maintained backlog, it is the same backlog as maintained by the product owner, but they just have a sub-view on those, let's say, they just have a sub-view on those, this product backlog actually. What I found pretty interesting, you got some insights there. I can't see any total connect when it comes to the, we always got boundaries between the feature and product areas.
Is it more a feature or a specialty area?
No, it's always feature.
So about the area. So it's not a specialty area according to what that section would be, that area would be. I have people who specialize on the database systems, I have people who specialize on the EX.
So maybe one thing one should notice is that every area acts like a less. So we are now less huge, which you have if you are more than 10 teams. Every area acts like less. And so the APO is basically like a clone of the product owner. It's not a separate product owner. It's more like a delegate.
A representative.
Yes. So they have tight coordination. In the end, you see, you have one potential triple product. So this only makes sense if you have one product, and less encourage a lot broad product definition.
Maybe some tales from the practice. How is your, let's say, experience. How's your experience actually in bringing those things together to one potential shippable product?
So let's say in Germany and all over the world, this is very hard. Also from my personal experience, you have more than 10 teams. Integration is very hard and takes a lot of time. So we value technical excellence and engineering practices quite high. Without engineering practices and automation, you will be able to integrate in such a short time.
Okay, so that means, so let's say when it comes to coordination, because we can also see here the coordination areas, probably to become one potential shippable product increment, you would, let's say, foster that through community of practices, or as you say, technical excellence.
But it's also a lot about refinement and how you split items. So you won't split, you're discouraged to split backlog items in a technical sense or by systems. You really have to think how you can split them by use cases, scenarios that they each provide values. And it's very hard. It's a huge change for companies to think in vertical slicing of items. And the practices are nowhere in the world you have enough engineering practices in the teams. They usually build up skills for half a year before you start with less adoption.
You sometimes then have maybe one or two specialists who jump between the scrum teams or between the areas even.
There's a possibility, that you have specialists who go into teams, but they're more like mentors for teams. But usually, less is like a learning model. It fosters multi-specialization in the teams. So it's about building up a lot of skills in the teams.
So it's basically, if somebody doesn't have the skills and is a springer guru, so to say, in that specialist area, we brings them the skills by and then goes on to the next one.
So if you're a large organization, a lot of people think they're specialists and have unique skills, and they want to be this special traveler traveling around, and then you have half the people who say, I'm a traveler. This doesn't work. So you want to have them as mentors in the team, staying for 1, 2, 3 sprints, and bring the skills to the people.
Okay, one last question. We just have to speed up.
Just how so if the keys on the refinement and how the stories are actually cut, or the details are actually cut, then how do you deal with dependencies? It's not encouraged to have dependencies between teams then.
Yeah, it's have some time. It's really an interesting topic. When I tell you a story, Bas Wode shocked some people on the last LESS conference because he said, in LESS we want to maximize the dependencies between teams. That shocked a lot of people. Because what does it mean?
Between teams or between areas?
Between teams. So areas should be rather independent, but they sit near together.
We could take it after.
Yeah. And dependency means we foster working together. That's basically what you want.
That's this part actually. So thank you very much for again say some. Oh, this is really good because I think that's valuable for all of us. It doesn't help you if I'm going to talk and there is some valuable input. So I've also was a bit, let's say, shocked actually when in the training the trainer mentioned that there are no dependencies. Yeah, I made the same face, but I understood his intention. As you said, it's really about the other extreme is to have maximum dependencies, to foster continuous communication between the teams, and let's say the other view is that each team is so cross-functional that you don't have any dependency. Very extreme everything. Find, let's say, the truth for yourself. That
Can you explain it? Do you have one more?
If you make it in one sentence.
Okay.
So you don't want to have dependencies between backlog items that one team's waiting for another. You want to have the dependencies in the code that the teams can directly coordinate and have development practices to continuously integrate in the code.
Again, we have the topic of maturity here. So you really need experienced people to do that. So let's go on. Less huge requirement area. So just a bit different view. So we have this overall product backlog, which is actually where you can see some snippets part of it flowing into the area product owner, which leads to the teams actually. So nothing special here. Right, so now we come to the end of the LESS area. We have the adoption part. So it's really about how we can start with LESS and how we can, let's say, integrate it into the company. There are different areas. We have like the 3 principles. So as you can see, some buttons they flow down, some flow up, there's some arrows. And it's really about that you don't say you push that change from top to down, or you push it from bottom to up. Always in both directions. What else do we have? Yeah, volunteering of practices. Coaching is also a big part, I think, to really understand, to really foster that mindset, to help the people understand how we can change in a better way. I would expect, like from a practical part of view, it could be really hard with LESS. This is really
adoption takes some time.
Yes, I can imagine. Getting started, right? Figure out, or don't take too long, experiment, figure out what works right for you, and get the things on the road. don't plan your agile transformation. I mean, of course, it's in certain part you have to plan probably, but start doing it. And at the end, we have the feature team adaptation map. So we're going to look at which is the next practical example we're going to do at the end of this topic. So you can just go further. Right, so here is your thought actually. And I would like to ask someone to, let's say, self-assess one of his teams. Would be someone be able to do that? So, for example, how good we are in the area of code. Okay, we are very competent. Yeah, we can work on a subsystem. We're so cross-functional that this works, or we can work on a whole product, on a whole system, or either on a complete problem. How independent we are actually. And you can go in the other direction and say, okay, we can design and test unit test, we can have a subsystem, architecture test, analysis and system test, and we're already in the co-creation area. So that's a very interesting assessment to understand, are we currently working with component teams within our organization or within the area, or are we already reached the level of feature teams? So, since I don't have a team, yeah, just simulate that. So, that is my current state, where I think the team structures, team did the assessment by himself. And what can you see here? Here's the current state. Here's the current state. So you can come up with understanding where you currently are and where we would like to be and in what kind of time. It's a really valuable assessment to help you. You just don't see the current state. You also say where we would like to be in the future. What blocks us actually from becomes a real cross-functional feature team. Because I mean, that's always a topic. Yeah, of course we're cross-functional because, I don't know, UX is in and we have developers and also testers, but are you really cross-functional? You really can work on functionality. Or you have, for example, organizational constraints that blocks you. That's what this assessment basically makes transparent. It's a good tool, I really like it. So, off to the next topic. Yeah, here we go. So I already looked at Martha, she was my Scrum and Scale trainer. Nice. Okay, so first this one, because now things getting interesting. Okay, please correct me all the time. I try to do my best to reflect what was the intent of Scrum at Scale.
I'm pretty sure you had the best trainer. To make it perfect.
Absolutely. Okay, let's have a look. These again feedback from practice. So the components of the Scrum at Scale framework. So currently, please also correct me there. Is there anything besides the Scrum at Scale guide or like the, what is this artifact called? Like a 16-page document about the framework?
So basically, it's the book of Jeff Sutherland. It's doing twice the work in a half of time. Why is it so? Because what Scrum at Scale is actually saying is, like, we basically use Scrum teams, and we say they're very similar components because one of the teams are built out of 5 people, one of them of 4, and we have just like a standard interface, and the standard interface is product. So basically, there is no book about it, but I think if you only want to understand how it works, please read the book from Jeff Sutherland, twice the work in a half of time.
Okay, thank you very much. Good recommendations. I tried to pull out all the visuals I could get because there are currently, let's say, only a few available, but I think that is one of the most important. I think if you're able to understand this, you already understood Scrum at Scale. So let's have a look. And maybe we can point out what we already know. So we basically know team level process. So what is a team level process actually? Okay, we really have to speed up. Sorry for that. What is a team level process? That is basically what the teams already know. So the teams are doing Scrum. This is the team level process. And we have the product and release feedback. This is what the teams already do. They deliver value. Around you can see two big cycles. You have a Scrum Master cycle and you have a product owner cycle, which are basically, let's say, the scale intents of all of this. In the middle you can see something, what from my point of view, this is my favorite Scrum at scale thing, which is called the executive action team. Executive action team. Which is a team basically who has the power and also the support and financial power to, let's say, foster a change within the company. And let's say to get rid of even high-level boundaries to really make that happen. It's a really smart idea. So to bring them in, to say, okay, you're part of this, and please help us that the whole thing is fine. And on the other hand, you see the executive meta Scrum, which is basically part of the product owner cycle and is, I would say, like probably the twin of the executive action team, and just from a product owner view, but we're also going to see what does mean. Any more to add here? Good, let's have a look at the next one since we only got 8 minutes left. So this is Scrum at scale. Sorry, again one slide back. Remember these cycles, Scrum Master cycle, product owner cycle, they're important now. So the Scrum Master cycle, so basically SOS scale, Scrum of Scrum, is master cycle. So basically SOS scale, Scrum of Scrum, is a cycle of multiple teams. So as you can see, SOS of 5 teams. And no big surprise, you can scale that further to Scrum of Scrum of Scrum. And the representatives from these groups are the Scrum of Scrum Masters, which would be again represent them at the SOS. Yes. That's it. So let's look at this. It's growing. Scrum Master cycle, the EAT executive action team. So the EAT is in the middle of all the things, and it's really there to remove impediments and to really foster that the things are going on. At a high level, imagine you're an executive who says, yeah, but with this impediment, you say, no problem, we're going to remove that, by the way. Yeah, and this is basically in the middle of this scaling scenario. So you can have SOS, which are then organized around, or with, I think they interact and interchange through the EAT.
So basically it's the main difference, so maybe it's a little bit confusing because in Scrum at scale we say the Scrum of Scrum is basically the team. So if, let's say, Scrum Masters is meeting once a day, we call the team of the Scrum Masters, we call them Scrum of Scrum. We don't call the event itself Scrum of Scrum. We still have this event, but we call it Scale Daily Scrum. Just make the difference. So basically what we do is say, okay, if we have to coordinate teams, why do we have to coordinate the teams? Because we want to remove impediments. And who's responsible for the manager of impediments in Scrum? Scrum Master. So let's put the Scrum Masters together, let them discuss shortly in a Scale Daily Scrum what sort of impediments do we have, and then go one level up. If they are not able to solve them, one level up, and at the end of the day, they are at the EAT level. So actually the management should solve the problems within 1 day. So we are able actually to run faster. That's the whole idea here.
So we have to speed up, 5 minutes left. Now this is a really time box.
Sorry.
No problem. It's really important to understand this. And then the other hand, like in the product owner cycle, you have the meta Scrum. So the meta Scrum is basically, as you can see, a meta Scrum of 5 teams. So you have 5 product owner, which then again would become a meta Scrum CPO, and that could scale further to a CCPO meta Scrum. Meta Scrum of 25 teams. And they would be represented by the chief product owner, here, CPO. Simple. Yeah. Go further. That would be like a scale meta Scrum scenario.
What would make the whole system working is really like having the short daily meetings. Like we have 15 minutes Scrum daily, then we go to the Scale Daily Scrum, another 15 minutes, scale daily Scrum. So basically within 1 hour you can coordinate like a bunch of people, up to even 2,000 people. So and that's actually the magic what's happening here in Scrum at scale.
But I would say at some point the names are getting a bit confusing. If I'm a CCPOC3.
Even I'm confusing.
Yeah.
I'm usually like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th level.
But that's it, it's really simple. And I think that's the nice thing at this. Here you can then see an organizational design. We'll have DMS, executive, EAT, and an EMS, and executive meta scrum, and that would be like some scenarios how we can potentially set such a thing. Yeah, passed. Okay, I think unfortunately we have to skip that exercise, but that was really one of my, let's say, key outcomes of the training. I really love that. Because what is this? In the training material they call it scaling map, but at the end it's just on self-assessment for your organization, understand how well are you doing basically. And running through such an assessment actually helps you to understand where are my pain points, where I have to improve. And this actually gives you like the initial load, or would say, it defines the way how you should change and in what priority you should change your organization.
Quick question, would you like to do this exercise in the next meetup?
This way, I just have to get the okay here from Scrum and Scale. I've stolen that from the presentation.
Oh good, oh good. I have the license, oh good.
You have the license?
I
Okay.
have the license, oh
Good, I just applied a different color scheme.
Okay.
It's fine enough? Okay.
Fine enough. Let me just close my eyes and colorblind.
No, but this is really helpful. If I could pick up, we already tested that on customer side, it worked really great. You get in a few minutes with the right people, with the EAT team, they all understand what our problems, what we have to work on, they get a prioritized backlog, and they start doing things. So, the next one. So if you get that out, you can position it here like in some kind of graph, and you will see like those areas, or those things which appear in that area would be probably the highest which you have to tackle. So if you have a strategic importance, and your strength is currently very low, then you have to tackle those topics. So if DevOps might appear in that area, then start working on that first. Yeah. So that's it. And now we're going to have, I think Nexus has exactly one slide. As you can see, it's getting simpler. Because I knew that the attention falls actually. Yeah. Nexus, really nice thing. Just something with here, sorry. Alright. The special thing that Nexus is actually that it has just 3 to 9 teams, so it's limited by design. And there are new concepts I've heard about Nexus Plus. I don't know how far this is. Sprints can have a different length. I think also that is very interesting. So if you have multiple teams performing on a different sprint cadence, for example 2, 3, 4 weeks, you just take the biggest cadence as your integration cycle. Right, there is only one Nexus per. That was too far. There's only one PO per Nexus, again, not multiple POs. And what is also interesting, so you have the Nexus brand cleaning, same principles. So on the planning 1, you're going to plan on a Nexus level, so on a high level planning, so that it's going to work for all the teams. In the planning 2, you're going to break down the work, so that's going to work for all the teams. Then you come up with a sprint backlog, you're going to integrate the work, and that is like the only new thing, the Nexus integration team. And the Nexus integration team is not, as the name said, let's say, responsible for integrating, but they are responsible for, let's say, that things are happening and also for dependency management, for example. So they make dependencies visible. So in Nexus, dependency management is a really important point. You can now see the difference. So let's say, okay, you know what, dependencies, yeah, let's talk. And so the main outcome of the Nexus sprint backlog, for example, also for the refinement is to identify dependencies with the Nexus. So they have a high focus on that. Right, what they sacrificed is actually they sacrificed the team level sprint review. They just have one common sprint review where they're going to show the integrated increment to the stakeholder. I also like that because then you're just forced to integrate. There is no need that your teams show it in a separate review, that part of the big solution to the stakeholders. Instead, all of you integrate. And that is also a bit special. So when the Nexus meets, actually, before you have your team retrospective, you have the Nexus retrospective. So it's vice versa. Usually first you have your team level reviews and retrospective, but the Nexus is exactly the other way. You first identify problems within your Nexus system to bring them onto a team level. Then you discuss them on a team level, and afterwards you pull them out again and see if they are solved. So a really smart approach. Can we test it? Personally, I really like Nexus because it's a simple idea, it's totally based on Scrum. The nice book outside, and also the handout is like 15 pages, so you can understand it pretty fast. And I think that is also strange. If you want to start with something, find an easy starting point. Maybe that could be one.
It supports cooperation between the teams.
Yeah.
So as to actually finish the Scrum line.
Yes. Good, so 3 slides left, we're going to make that. Sven is already looking skeptical. Okay, so I don't want to go deep into that, I don't want to recommend anything, I just want to show you what's out there, because let's say a lot of trainings always hear about what kind of tooling we can use. I mean, tooling is not the solution, and won't solve your problem, but at least it will help you make things transparent, also when it comes to distributed teams. So that's the slide, anyhow, I'll go around. This was last week acquired by Agile. They understood it. Yeah. Anyhow, you will get these slides. You can have a look at the tools and figure out, as the last trainer would say, figure out for yourself. That's my favorite quote now. All right, next one. Also, I can recommend gain your knowledge. It's not enough to stay in one of these areas, from my point of view. If you really would like to understand what is the best thing for a company or the best thing for a customer, how you can support them, how you can help them, you can't come to them and say, you know what, I did the less practitioner certification and this is what I'm going to deliver you now. It's a total wrong approach. I know, if this video is going to send it the left way, so listen, maybe next time I won't be an SPC anymore. Just a joke. No, but I think they have to be really open-minded, because to understand what is out there, to understand also other areas, I don't know, like where you have event storming, story mapping, design thinking, business canvas, just get around, catch all this information and apply what you require for your context. And this is one book, that is really the only marketing activity I'm doing today, but that book really flashed me. I haven't read such a good book since, I don't know, 10 years. It's just 130 pages, you can read it in 2 hours, and it's really mind-blowing. It's a really pragmatic approach, and a really, let's say, easy thing. This is the flight level concepts of Klaus Leopold. It's another approach of, let's say, bringing strategy and execution together. So, let's go on to the last slide. So, what are the key learnings from today? So, don't wait for someone making a change, be the change. So Michael Jackson quote. So, next one. Focus on the flow of value through the whole organization. That is really important. You don't generate value within your smart soft department, even if you think you generate value with all the departments working together. That is value generation. Here we have it, stop local optimization, optimize the system as a whole. Of course you can do like all this stuff, small things, and optimize that and this. But if your subsystem is optimized to the maximum, but you're just, let's say, in a trash bag around, yeah, even then value won't flow. Find partners, supporters to foster the change. There's also something really important in companies. Share your mindset, talk to people, and I'm sure you will find someone who shares the same ideas. And you wouldn't be surprised on what levels to say. Because, for example, I mean, let's say on a senior executive level, you know, it's getting lonely in this ivory tower. They're so under pressure, they don't know how to solve this stuff. They don't have time to catch these new ideas around. But they're under high pressure. And if you can come up and say, yeah, maybe I can In this area, I got some idea, I see we got some problems. You can easily find a partner and support now in an area where you probably don't expect. Pick the best out of each framework. That was my learning from, let's say, my Agile journey until now. I just take what I need. I don't care. Seriously. And the customer also don't care. The customer don't care if you're using less, if you're using Scrum at scale, if you're using safe, or if you're using whatever. He simply don't care. What he cares is that you deliver products to him. And that should be your focus. Right. We also seen that limiting work has a high effect, and also a very high effect it can have on an initiative level, because usually at that level, everything is pulled into the pipeline. Because of course, management say everything has to happen now. Here we go. Yeah, and adding more managers also won't solve your problem, it just makes it more complicated. So instead of adding managers, foster communication and foster transparency. And also start to get to know your organization outside your realm. Become open-minded, understand what is around you. Really, imagine if everybody, that's not a Michael Jackson point, everybody's just making a small step forward and you start to meet in the middle somewhere. But everybody's so busy within his area and I don't care and I have another bonus of this guy. You know, everybody wants to get happy out of work and not frustrated. And that was actually my main motivation, like 12 years ago, to understand what it really keeps to work together in a happy and not in a frustrated way and pushing things together forward. So, and to last in the middle, try to first understand the problem before you're choosing a solution. And be a way to work of working Agile. Agility is never your main organizational purpose. The organization wasn't founded to work Agile. It wasn't founded to make money and be successful. It can help you there, but it's never your main purpose. So, we're through actually. I'm so sorry for.
Thank you very much, Marcus. I think it was a really, really great in-depth session, and I'm almost understood everything. So thank you very much again. Quick thing, housekeeping. At 9 o'clock we have to be out here, and they both need to be back. So I would suggest if you guys want to do some networking, if you could do it at the back part, that would be great. So I can arrange everything. Also, we're hosting the next meetup on the 11th of April here, and I think Marcus, are you doing anything?
It's about safe.
Okay. So, if you liked it, just give us an honest feedback on the meetup platform. This community is for you. We're not earning any money out of this community to give you the knowledge, right? Thank you guys for coming and investing your time in our meetup platform. And again, thank you, Marcus, and thanks WeWork for the venue.